Okay, we continue with this episode of Deals and Deadlines with Hadley. I'm Matt. Thanks so much for joining us, our sports business podcast. It drops weekly on Fridays on the 680 The Fan YouTube channel and wherever you get your favorite podcast. All right, Hadley, I want to talk to you about what is happening that's being described as a mess. As all these other jobs are being filled, Florida's got their guy, and LSU's got their guy, and teams are getting their new coaches. Penn State's still open. And the way this is being described, let me tell you what Todd McShay said. He described Jimmy Sexton as, quote, messing around with Penn State during the coaching search. The AD, Pat Kraft, who fired James Franklin to start the search as early as possible to get a jump on everybody, has now fallen behind. Now, this is the rumor that Penn State spoke to Urban Meyer. They had NIL disagreements. They thought they had something close with Mike Elko. Didn't happen. Couldn't close. They spoke to Kirk Cignetti, got a new deal with Indiana. Matt Rule, Marcus Freeman, Eli Drinkwitz, Clark Lee, struck out on all the above. There was this notion that if Kalen DeBoer lost the Iron Bowl, maybe he would jump ship. So here they are, not figuring out who the coach is. Is there a blame game here? Is the agent? Is Penn State? What's happening here?
Well, first of all, you can never blame the agent for getting his client paid.
Oh.
I mean, at the end of the day, that's what his job is. And again, a lot of these coaches may have liked where they were and used Penn State as leverage. If somebody really had a dream job to go to Penn State, they would have taken that job. So obviously it wasn't a dream job. They liked their current situation, felt there was a long way to go with Penn State, and used Penn State as leverage. Now, unfortunately, Penn State fired Franklin first, thinking they would get ahead of the curve and be the first ones to get the coach and get everything in play and they'll let everyone else fight out. And now they're the last ones to the dance. And so they are fighting an uphill battle, and they're going to end up paying probably more than they would have otherwise because there's only so many elite candidates left. And if you start going to some lower-end candidates, the Penn State alumni are not going to be fans of it. So it's not an agent's fault. It's also, you could point blame anywhere you want, but the athletic director who handles it for the school did it wrong. Thought he was getting ahead, thought he was negotiating in good faith. Maybe they were. But, they've now limited their candidates, and it's going to be a tough fill to find the right guy for Penn State.
It's a bad look. It drags. It makes it look like you're either being turned down or don't have a plan.
I'll tell you one that was surprising that I saw today, in fact. Brian Hartline is now going to University of South Florida. Yeah. He has been the guru guy with receivers and the guys he's brought into Ohio State. He's been part of that Ohio State curve. How Penn State did not look at someone like him, and maybe they did, I don't know. But, someone like that comes from the pedigree of Ohio State to now come to Penn State, he ended up at South Florida. So either A, they didn't go after him, or B, what they were offering him wasn't what South Florida was offering him.
Okay, a couple of things I want to pick your brain about. It's either been rumored to be done or not done, but it sounds like Jared Curtis, who was the #1 quarterback recruit in the class of 2026, flipped his commitment from Georgia to Vanderbilt. And that's a huge, huge deal that Vanderbilt would make that kind of commit jump to them. We know all the recruiting in the world is great, but in the 11th hour, if the dollars are right, somebody's going to flip. But what kind of statement is it that Vandy is putting those kind of dollars to a guy like Jared Curtis, who they tell him it's your job now, right? Diego Pavia is probably gone, even though he's pushing for another year.
For his 20th year.
I know. But meanwhile, Georgia's got a little succession plan in place. So how much do you think was playing time and how much was just simply dollars?
I think it's a combination. I mean, I think there was the competition level at Georgia that if he comes here, no one's handing him anything. And also Georgia probably will go into the portal as well to bring a veteran quarterback in. So he may be 3rd or 4th on the depth chart. Who knows? At Vanderbilt, they're not going to do that. They spent their limited budget on someone like Curtis, and he's going there. Now, everyone says, well, how did that happen? Remember, it happened for the 2026 season. And if things go well and he likes it there and they're winning and he's making all this money, he stays there. Mm-hmm. If he's doing well but the team does poorly or doesn't like Nashville, whatever it may be, he'll enter the portal, end up at a Georgia or somewhere else in 27 and beyond and still make that kind of money. So I think it's a smart marketing and PR move because I really think they can build around his brand, which will lead to further endorsement opportunities while he's playing collegiately, and if he's fortunate to make it to the NFL, to parlay that into more money in the NFL.
Okay, I want to talk to you about a tweet I saw this week that has to do with TV networks. We know the relationships with college football conferences. A guy named Sean Davis tweets in response to ESPN's College Game Day announcing they're going to be in Atlanta for Georgia and Alabama ahead of the SEC title game. He writes, ABC and ESPN, which all but own the SEC, refusing to send College Game Day to see number 1 versus number 2, referring to Ohio State and Indiana, in the Big Ten Conference Championship game in Indianapolis, all because the game and conference have a deal with a different media network. He writes, corruption in college sports is real and being driven by media contracts. So I wanted to stop right there because, yeah, there's corruption in a lot of places. This is not corruption. This is good business. And here's what I mean. Think back to the final week of the regular season. Where was ESPN's College Game Day? They were sitting right next to Fox in Ann Arbor, Michigan, before Ohio State and Michigan played. Why? There wasn't a great game on ABC, ESPN that they were going to be at. If there were, maybe they would have been there, but they went to the biggest game in town. Alabama, Georgia's their product. Why would you not want to be promoting your product when you pay the kind of rights fees that you do? We do this in local radio when we are a rights holder for a team. We're at their venue pregame. Just part of it. That's not corruption. That's just good business.
It is good business, and it's big business, and that's really what it comes down to. People use the word corruption very loosely because they're dictating what they're, what's important to them and what brings the bottom line numbers to them. So I agree with you. I'm glad you said the same thing that I feel is that it is big business. Now, it just shows you now the power the media has on what's going to happen and what you're going to see and what you're going to view and how they could spin certain things in a certain way because, again, it's about building their brand. As much as these media outlets care about college sports and care about, student athletes, they care about their bottom line and their product. And so they're going to put what's more important to them than they are to the overall masses because at the end of the day, they have to report back to the people that pay their bills and what's right for them.
But let's also be clear. Georgia and Alabama will outrate
100%.
Indiana, Ohio State. I don't care it says number 1 versus number 2. Whenever those two brands get together, it's north of 10 million viewers. They're one of the best in the, there's 4 or 5 brands in all of college football that get those kind of numbers. So on top of it being their own product, it's going to get the biggest numbers. But let me flip it for you. Think about what Fox does on Sundays with their NFL coverage. They used to do an hour with Fox NFL Sunday. Then they added another hour with a show. Imagine them being live on the site of a CBS game just because it's a bigger game. It's not corruption. Again, it's promoting your own product. ESPN's been doing this for years. Everything outside the games that ESPN does is all to promote their games. So when they have a live sports center, it might be live from the WNBA game 1 of the finals. Why? It's their product.
Right.
So that's not corruption.
And I will add to this. If you really look at it objectively at the 4 teams that we're talking about, you've got 3 national teams in Georgia, Alabama, and Ohio State. The elephant in the room is Indiana. Great team, but nobody knows anything about Indiana on a national level. Nobody knows players on that team. So for marketing and branding purposes, there's nothing like SEC football. There's nothing like these 2 teams battling. And it's potentially a bye, so they're really fighting for something really big here. And so, the question is, I have a question for you, kind of related.
Yeah.
Bama wins. Do they get a bye?
It's a great question, right? SEC champion, 2 losses, I would tend to think so, but then you're doing the math on the winner of the big, as we record this, by the way, this will drop on Friday, so we'll know all this on Sunday. The winner of the Big Ten gets one of the byes. The loser of that one might not slip below 4, right?
Correct.
So, okay, so that's something to think about. So that might be 2 spots. Texas Tech wins. They're going to get a bye. So there's 3 of them. Is the 4th one supposed to go to the SEC champ with even 2 losses? I know one of them's to Florida State. I would tend to think so.
So you would give it, so you think the winner of, I believe the winner
Georgia's no brainer. Georgia gets the 3 seed if they win.
Right.
Bama would probably get the 4 if they win. That's just my best guess on it. Okay, so let me ask you about NBC's looking to lease out the Big Ten title game. It's the funniest thing I've ever heard.
Again, this is the same alley of media and controlling stuff.
Well, we've also seen this with TNT.
Right.
Like they're getting the college football playoff games essentially leased out by ESPN. They're reportedly seeking at NBC around $70 million, which is about what Netflix pays for their NFL Christmas package for the sale of next year's Big Ten title game. Talk to me about the return of investment. If I buy it for $70 million, pick the network. I'm TNT. I'm the Food Network. Am I going to be able to recoup that? Or is this a loss leader to promote other things on my network?
I think it's a combination of it. I mean, we won't know until we know whether you're actually going to get your $70 million worth of viewership. But I think it's being part of a big college atmosphere. It is a very well-viewed game. So it's something that, it's Christmas in early December for these networks. And so it's something that makes sense. And again, the fact that they're offering it, you still have to have a buyer. And we don't know if we have that buyer yet. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. but I think it benefits all the parties. And just like you said, if it is a TNT, they're using this platform to do other things with it that are bigger for them. So, but it's smart business for both entities.
Okay, coming up, Michael Jordan admitted he had a clause in his contract unlike anything I've ever heard before. So I want to talk to the agent to find out if this is something new. Plus, Tiger Woods has an idea that he thinks will help improve the golf world. And there's an athlete trying to help athletes further their own brands. We'll talk about them all next.